Today on Upfront, the Foxconn jobs promise. Can the state ensure a majority of the jobs will go to Wisconsin residents? I'll be asking State Senator Van Wanggaard of Racine, whose district will likely get the Foxconn plant. Then State School Superintendent Tony Evers launches a bid for governor. Why does he say he can unite the state? Plus, Milwaukee's mayor seeks a sales tax to hire more police officers. Mayor Tom Barrett on whether state lawmakers and city voters will approve it.
Covering the issues important to Wisconsin. This is Upfront with Mike Goucher.
Hello again, everyone, and welcome to Upfront. Dozens of Wisconsin businesses and chambers of commerce are uniting to help bring Foxconn to Wisconsin. The Wisconsin Valley Jobs Coalition is roughly 150 groups, employers, and individuals led by Wisconsin manufacturers and commerce, dedicated to the Foxconn effort. They'll start by lobbying state lawmakers ahead of the next vote on the Foxconn bill coming up in the Senate. The Walker administration, as you know, has a deal to give the Taiwanese tech company $3 billion in tax incentives to build a massive LCD panel factory in southeast Wisconsin. That plant would employ 3,000 people to start and possibly 13,000 people in the future. The Foxconn factory expected to be built in Racine County, possibly Kenosha County, in the Senate district of Van Wanggaard. And Senator Wanggaard joins us now on Upfront. It's good to have you back on the program.
Good morning, Michael. Thank you for having me.
Well, give us some idea of where this is going to be. What do you know as we sit here today? Where is this likely to be?
Well, looking at all of the logistics and just some of the energy that's going on, I'm looking that it's probably going to be up in the Racine County area for the majority of the campus. I mean, that's where I'm kind of thinking it's going to be. But, you know, whether it's there or it's in Kenosha, that's still in my district. So it's going to be my district one way or the other, and it's going to be a positive thing for both Racine and Kenosha.
So Mount Pleasant, town of Paris, places like that are all still,
Correct.
as far as you know, under consideration.
Yes, Mount Pleasant, Sturtevant area, I think. You have to look at the footprint. You know, we're looking at a very large area, you know, 1,300 to 2,000 acres, and there's not a lot of locations that have the access and have the great people around and rail traffic and air traffic that provide that location. So we've been positioned ready for this for many years.
Is there any resistance in your district to this proposal? Environmental concerns, concerns that it could change sort of the culture of southeastern Wisconsin?
I've heard that from a couple people, literally a couple people. The majority of the people understand what a game changer this is. We're not just bringing a manufacturing company into southeastern Wisconsin. We are bringing a new technology, a global technology to this hemisphere, to the United States, to the state of Wisconsin, and to my district in southeastern Wisconsin. I mean, this is just going to be game-changing for the next 5 decades.
Let's talk about one of the concerns that has been expressed in this process, and that's whether Wisconsin people will be filling these jobs. We had Scott Neitzel, the Department of Administration Secretary, on this show. He said here and again last week at the public hearing that he'd probably be about 9 out of 10 of the jobs would go to Wisconsin residents. How do we know that? How can we guarantee that to the people of this state?
Well, I believe when the matrix that they've used, and I think this is probably from prior jobs that have been relocated here, I think that's kind of what the numbers have worked out to be. But you have to remember that a lot of those individuals that may come up from Illinois to work here that have those skill sets now, eventually a lot of those individuals move up to Wisconsin and move into our state. The other thing that we
Even
don't...
if you live in Zion, which is, you know, just across the border, couldn't
some
you just
will
drive?
Well, some will do that. I mean, we have a differential. We have a reciprocity agreement with Illinois. We have more people that work down in Illinois, so that means that we have to pay Illinois about, I think it's about $60 million that we're on the hook for now, so that it evens it up with the reciprocity. So these people we have all those people that can move up here and work up here, and it's going to help even out that number. So it's not really going to be a loss to us. It's actually going to be an increase.
So I want to ask you about something that was in the Chicago Sun-Times earlier this month. It was an editorial to the people of Wisconsin. I want to read it briefly and get your response to it because they view this differently. The editorial says, best we can tell, it's a crapshoot as to whether luring the giant electronics company to Wisconsin would work out well for you, Wisconsin, given the billions of dollars in tax breaks your governor has promised, but it would be terrific for Illinois. It would cost our state nothing, yet up to half of the new jobs could go to our residents. while O'Hare Airport, we get the new international travel business. Concludes by saying the best thing that ever happened to Illinois might be losing Foxconn to you, Wisconsin. Much appreciated. What's your response to that?
Well, you look at what's a good deal. When you look at the number of jobs that are going to be potentially created here, up to 13,000 jobs. I look at Iowa that just made a deal for $200 million with Apple for 50 jobs. So when you look at the numbers, what's really a good deal? I think the proof's going to be in the pudding here, because when I see how they're working with us and how they really truly are looking at the importance of the people that we have here, I think you have to look at all those things you can't put a price tag on that is going to just absolutely conform and change our communities into just being more productive. When you have individuals that can get a job, that's a $55,000 a year job, that's going to lift all those people.
Final question. You did mention Racine, and they were hit over the years with some job losses that were tough, and you said that could help the community. There are people in the state legislature who say, what about Milwaukee, where you have pockets of very high poverty? There's been talk about transportation needs, connecting workers in Milwaukee to jobs in Racine County or Kenosha County. Do we need to look at that?
Well, I think we have been looking at that, but probably not close enough. I don't know that a trolley that goes in a 2-mile circle was the best investment for $100 and some million in Milwaukee. We do van pools with the state as an example, which helps people get to work, which is a really great value. I think there's all kinds of different ways that we can get people back and forth to work. But Foxconn shouldn't be the one that has to solve all this. We have to sit down and we have to work this out between all of the collaborative municipalities that are going to be affected by this locally. But people that ultimately don't want to work, they're not going to come to work. Those that really want to work are going to be able to. And some of those people that hold 2 jobs now to be able to feed their family and do the things that they want to do, if they take one of these other jobs for, these middle income jobs that are, about $25 an hour, and they get that increase of $54,000 a year, it's going to open up potentially 2 other jobs that somebody that may have that skill set can step into and improve themselves. So you're going to see a huge domino effect.
Senator Van Wanggaard is a Republican senator who represents both Racine and Kenosha County, likely home of the new Foxconn plan. Thanks very much for being with us today.
Thank you, Michael. Come back to see you soon.
All right, good to see you. The latest Democrat to announce a run for governor says he would renegotiate the Foxconn deal. State School Superintendent Tony Evers joins me next on Up Front. And later, Milwaukee's mayor pushing for a sales tax to hire more police officers. What happens if it isn't approved? That's when Up Front continues.
Up Front with Mike Goucher, brought to you by the American Transmission Company and the Wisconsin Corn Growers Association.